Good afternoon, everybody. Before I start with my talk, I should say that I'm very pleased with the big crowds appearing here in this, at this information meeting. And in the audience, there seems to be a very high multidisciplinary diversity. So if you work together for the applications to this call, then we will get truly multi- and interdisciplinary projects. I'm a senior policy advisor at our national funding agency, NWO, and I'm lucky enough to be tasked with the implementation and execution of this Caribbean research program. And I will tell you some of the technical details which which you will be able to read in the official announcement starting next week. The background has already been explained in some detail. Our Ministry of Education, Culture and Science has funded the Caribbean research program, including the NWO-calls and the CNSI, as presented by Johan Stapel. And it will last for 5 years. I should like to take this opportunity to say that I'm very pleased that one of the most important founding fathers of this program is among us. That's Mr. Jos Rox from the ministry, who has contributed, I think, a lot to the establishment of this program. So there are 10 million for research programs, including some amount for communication budgets and other standard things in NWO programs. This call will have a financial volume of a maximum of 5 million euros. It will be implemented by different NWO divisions: Earth and Life Sciences, Humanities and Social Sciences. So even within NWO, we will work in a multi- and interdisciplinary way. And as has been mentioned already, this call targets excellent research proposals in the insular Caribbean region, with some relevance at least to the Dutch Caribbean. NWO has established a program committee which is responsible for advising the board of our council on the scientific content of the program. Our chair of today is also the chair of that program committee. And unfortunately, the other members of this committee could not be here, but they have contributed considerably to the development and the content of the program. Now, I hope that you have taken a cup of coffee during the break, otherwise you might fall asleep. Now we start with the procedure. It's going to be a bit boring. I will just talk you through the application and the evaluation process. Most of you know this already. So first, applicants submit proposals online through the well-known system. We will check the eligibility of proposals. The eligibility criteria are stated in the call for proposals. If your proposal does not meet all requirements, you will get 5 days to correct it. After that, we will ask international peer reviewers to comment on the proposals. And after that, as usual, applicants are invited to respond to the reviewers' comments. So you can submit a short rebuttal. After that, or actually before that, we will establish an international evaluation panel, which is different from the program committee. So we will establish an independent evaluation panel that ranks all the applications based on referee comments and rebuttals. After that, NWO takes a formal funding decision, and applicants are consequently informed about their success or lack of success. Projects must start within 6 months after receiving the NWO funding letter. So then I will give you some indication of the time frame. The call will be published on 8 July, so on Monday next week. I've heard that there is a small technical problem with our website, so it might happen that it is not online on Monday, but nevertheless, you're allowed to submit proposals on Monday. The deadline for submitting proposals is 17 September, as we have heard before. The peer review process will take 2 to 3 months, and we expect to ask you for rebuttals in December. From now on, I cannot tell you any definite dates anymore, but I think that the meeting of the evaluation panel will take place in January, and the funding decision will be taken in February. And the start of the projects will have to be within 6 months after that date. But, as always, I cannot guarantee this timeline, and some adjustments might be necessary. I will shortly tell you where you can find information on this program and on this call. Some of you are probably very familiar with our website, but some of them might not be so familiar. If you go to this website, a screen like this will appear. Then you can just find this very big red button, View All Funding Instruments. And if you click on that, you will get a very long list of funding instruments. And starting with the publication of the call, you will find the call under C from Caribbean Research. There is another way to approach this. You can go to Research and Results, Programs, and then look for the Caribbean Research Program. And we will also publish links and updates to any activities, including calls, on this dedicated program webpage. Then some rules, which I should mention. Rules with respect to the applications. Of course, applications must be written in English. They must be submitted online. It's important to understand that we ask for projects which include 1 to 3 PhD students or postdoc positions. So you're welcome to apply for 1 single position, but in order to work in an interdisciplinary way, it is often easier to ask for several positions. The project duration must be between 2 and 5 years. Each application can ask for a maximum of 750,000 euros. We only fund, spend money on salaries for temporary staff. We don't fund salaries of permanent staff. So it must be PhD or postdocs. A little bit in contrast to what Rob said before, you can ask for some material costs, as we call them. You can fund consumables and small instruments. Maybe that's also something which you might consider bringing to the CNSI as a small infrastructure. There is a maximum of 25% of the salary costs which you can ask for material costs. This call offers the quite unique opportunity nowadays to ask for funding for use of large infrastructure. You can ask for a maximum of 250,000 euros for the use of large infrastructure, not for purchasing large infrastructure. This large infrastructure can be anything, depending on your research. It can be ship time, could also be supercomputers, could also be sequencing of biological data, whatever. The final thing I just wanted to mention, because some of you are probably involved in calls which we do together with top sectoren, but in this call there are no matching requirements from external partners or from industry. Some rules for the applicants. Researchers can submit one proposal as lead applicant, and researchers can act no more than twice as an applicant. So this means that each individual researcher cannot be an applicant on more than 2 proposals. The lead applicant must hold a position at a Dutch academic institution. There will be a list of eligible institutions in the call text. This means that researchers from institutions in the Caribbean region cannot directly apply, cannot be lead applicants, but that does not mean that they cannot participate. I would stress and I would invite all scientists at Caribbean institutions to link up with the research consortia which intend to submit proposals to this call. One other rule which I wanted to mention explicitly: retired professors emeriti and researchers with a nulltinde employment may not submit applications. We had some discussion about the evaluation criteria. Here they are quite explicitly, although the call text will give even more information about that. As the chair said, it is mainly about quality and excellence. So originality, scientific quality will be scored. And what we mean by that is quite standard, I think, for most NWO calls. Originality and innovative aspects, scientific quality, effectiveness, and very important, feasibility, and the quality of the applying consortium. Apart from that, we have another group of criteria which are important to mention here. We call that appropriateness, interdisciplinarity, and impact. And what we mean by that is explained in these 3 bullets. We will check, or the referees and the committee will check whether the application is in line with the research themes and general objectives of the call. We will check whether there are links between 2 or more research themes. That's what we might call interdisciplinarity. And very importantly, we will check for interactions and links with regional institutions and facilities, and for the contribution of the proposed research project for the formation of a Caribbean knowledge network. You are free to use your creativity and imagination for this, but you should be able to make clear and to convince referees and the committee that you do make a contribution to this, to the formation of a knowledge network. If you need further information, I've shown you the website. You can always check that for general information and call documents on general rules and eligibility. I would advise you that you check the salary tables on the NW webpage. If you do the finances yourself, you can check it. If somebody from your financial department helps you with that, just tell them that there is a link in the call document which guides you to the salary tables. For more information, I advise you to read very carefully the call text. That will be the call text. And the application form contains an explanation for each single thing which you have to fill in for the application. And if you have any questions or any suggestions or remarks, feel free to call me or to send a mail to me, and I will try to answer it.